army. Get those wallets unfolded. Coming up next on the OtherGround live stage, prepare for an eargasm by Passive J and Big Dalton.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome to yet another edition of OtherGround Live. I'm Passive J. That's Big Dalton over there. Say hello, Ryan.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is July the 13th. It is a Monday, which means Jay did nothing all day and is going to carry the show. 1, 2, 3, go.
Shit, that's a lot of responsibility to have. Normally you do that shit. Anyways, I see the OG armies forming up in the chat box. Always good to see you guys here. I did more than nothing. I did quite a few things today. I had a lot of a lot of chores and things like that to take care of. So it wasn't all just fun and games for me.
So right back to it, you did nothing significant today. So
Okay.
Here you are to carry the show.
Carry the show. Well, yeah, I do have topics. I was trying to be a good co-host today and pick up whatever I could. Let me see what we have here today. Oh, how'd your day go, by the way? It
was a goddamn Monday. So I was on calls from pretty much, like 8 or 9 in the morning until about a half hour ago. So, it is what it is.
Oh, well, that's why they call it work. Because if it was fun, they call it a hobby and they wouldn't pay you.
Yeah, that sounds like something like a old crotchety old man that would say to his grandson while playing Pinochle.
I don't know where I heard that. It could have been my old crotchety grandfather. That's entirely possible. Regardless, did you see that Kelly Preston has passed away?
Yeah, that was Travolta's wife or whatever.
That is correct. Yeah. Plus, she was an actress that was in quite a few movies back in the day.
Yeah, I had absolutely no idea who she was, but yeah, I saw the headline. Breast cancer, wasn't it?
Yeah. She was gorgeous. You've probably seen at least a couple of the movies she's been in. Twins is the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah, that's past my limit of remembering.
Well, I'm sure you've seen Twins. It's an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, so obviously you had to have seen it. But I can understand if it's been so long you don't really remember the supporting characters quite as much.
Yeah, like I remember what the movie was. I don't remember, jack shit about it.
Right.
It's kind of past my cutoff of memorable things.
Right. And she was in a few other things, but in the last 20 years, she's better known for being John Travolta's wife than anything else, really.
Yeah, and isn't he gay anyway?
Who knows? It's entirely possible that he's gay or at least bi. But they have kids, so he at the very least he was putting up the effort.
Yeah, maybe that. Well, he's the one that so Travolta has his pilot's license, right? He was the one that was molesting people in the air.
Oh my! In the air, no one can hear you scream. That would be. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know if he was accused of anything or not. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought he lured men onto his plane and then got all up in that.
Did he? Is that what happened? Really?
Holy I don't know. Shit. I thought I heard something about that. There's something.
Well,
there's something weird with Travolta. I think that was it because I think he's the one that's a pilot.
Oh, okay. Richard Gere's Missy Gerbil said he likes showing his butthole to massage therapists. I heard something about some sort of inappropriate touching during a massage or some shit like that. I never heard about the flying a rape plane or anything like that before though.
I might be thinking of someone else. I don't know, but yeah, he. I could have sworn he was, putting from the rough quite a bit.
Well, according to the juicer, his wife worked at Pebble Beach and he was caught blowing a limo driver.
Well, that's quite the tip.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? Well, yeah, I know, Tanner, who hasn't? Well, I don't know. I've never actually been in a limo, so I don't know if that's the normal tip to the limo driver or not. So maybe I'm wrong.
No, limos aren't that impressive. A solid hand job. That's about all you get from a limo ride. Now, if you're a pilot and you're taking me on a private jet, and who knows? It's like international water if it's in the air.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's no crime committed. Speaking of that, I was talking with one of the security guards at the place that I work at, and he mentioned like he goes, "Hey, I'll see you like in next week. I'm going on vacation." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome. What are you doing?" Yeah, he goes, "I'm flying my plane out to Montana to visit my brother." I'm like, "Wow!" I go, "You flying?" Because this I don't really know this dude. We started using a new security company this year, so it's no, I've only been working with these guys for like a month or two now. Um, and I was like, "Oh wow, you fly!" And we started talking about it. And he's a tall dude as well. Not quite as tall as I am. He's probably 6'5", I'd say though, fairly tall. Retired, as it turns out, another retired Detroit police officer, but he was a helicopter pilot for Detroit Police. So he has all kinds of interesting stories. And the long and the short of it, he said if I ever want to go flying with him, just let me know, and he'd be more than happy to take me up someplace or another. It's only a Cessna, so I don't think there's going to be any plane rape going on. There's not a lot of room in that. Uh, but I'm not sure if I'd take him up on that or not. That sounds really, really cool. I'd always wanted to fly in something small like that. But then again, that's also the vast majority of plane crashes are the small planes like that as well.
I'm sure you would not die in a plane crash, but just remember
Well,
the customary thank you for a flight. Just keep that in mind.
all right. Well, so have you ever flown in one of those small planes like that?
Not like the super small planes. So living in Iowa, like a lot of the flights were kind of like the smaller planes, like heading either to like Chicago or Minneapolis to hop on like a real flight. Yeah, nothing like a 2-seater or something crazy like that.
I think I have a similar experience. When I was doing basic training, I flew a commercial flight from Detroit to Dallas, and then a smaller plane from Dallas to Oklahoma. And it was like I think a 50 or 60 seat plane with like two prop engines. And I was absolutely the only fucking person on the flight, so they let me sit in first class. That was kind of cool.
And that was the last time anyone thought Jay in first class.
Yeah, probably. Unless I happen to decide to buy a random lottery ticket and hit it big. Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to be a first class type of person in any sense of the word.
I concur.
Challenge accepted said he was in an ultralight before. That must be even extra scarier because that's even like lighter and flimsier than like a Cessna or one of the other standard small planes. I'd be fucking terrified.
Oh, so you're saying an ultralight is really light?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I get it. Shit. What else do I got today? Some of these things aren't even just subjects. There's just one thing, and I figured either it's going to be a subject or not. A lot of it depending on Ryan. Are you old enough to remember the original American Gladiators?
Everybody remembers the original American Gladiators.
Well,
It's one of the only
not.
like it was like the beginning of, it's not necessarily like a reality show, but like a solid TV game show that wasn't, completely idiotic and about trivia.
Yeah, I used to love that show so much. Over on Pluto TV, they have the American Gladiator channel, and this is like 6 months ago. I went through a spat of just watching it, like when I was off work for 5 or 6 hours a day because had nothing else going on. And one of the things I took away from that was first, it got a lot more complex in later seasons. The first seasons were pretty simple, like the different challenges and things like that. They all had the obstacle course in the end, but the rest of it wasn't all that complex. They built it up over 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 seasons. The other thing I noticed is the gladiators took that shit way more seriously than they probably should have. Do you remember how often the contestants got fucking smashed by those big, giant, roided out dudes?
Well, that was the whole point of the show.
Well, yeah, but it was fucking awesome.
The problem is that show just never really, it doesn't really hold up anymore. Like I tried to go back and I think a few years ago watch some of it. It just doesn't hold up.
Yeah, I mean, in what regard do you mean?
Like it just, I don't know. It's just not entertaining like it once was. Like
I think
it just isn't. Yeah, it's just not the same.
I think a lot of that's just because our taste taste as a society have evolved, and like that's just too primitive and simple for us. It's like it's not new and awesome anymore.
Well, I mean, that could be some of it, but like I like physical like shows like that. So like there are some of those things. Like I haven't caught a ton of it, but The Rock has the Titan games or whatever it is. There's the Broken Skull Challenge. Like there are some like physical kind of game type shows that are still fun to watch. But yeah, going back to American Gladiators, it's just like that was a period in time type of thing, and unfortunately, it's just not a thing anymore.
Yeah, and I haven't seen any of those ones that you're talking about, but they all seem kind of interesting. That kind of competitive show. Now, are you into like the watching the like World's Strongest Man competitions? I'm assuming that might be a subject of interest for you for obvious reasons.
I haven't watched one for quite a while. Like the heyday of them were kind of fun to watch. Like anymore, it's just I don't know. It's kind of boring, I guess. Like it's interesting the things they do, but it's just like who is the most gigantic, roided up human on Earth? And it's just, it's another thing that kind of lost its luster over time.
Yeah, same here. When I first started watching them, I was like, wow, this is pretty fucking amazing. But you can only watch like really huge people pick up really heavy things for so many times. And it was fun because of the inventive ways that they made them, show their strength as opposed to just like lifting weights, with the different stones and things that they had to move. But once again, you can only watch so much of that before you're like, okay.
Well, and the other part about it is like I guess it never really evolved. It's like you have essentially the exact same like obstacles or whatever that they had done for years and years and years. And now those guys specifically train for that shit, so they're just ridiculously good at it. Like the Atlas stones, you used to see people just fail consistently. Now dudes are knocking that thing out in like 30 seconds.
Right. Like kind of like the difference, kind of like the early UFC and the modern UFC. One of the fun parts about watching the early UFC was people encountering techniques that they had no fucking clue how to deal with. So you saw like ridiculous knockouts and submissions and throws because people had no clue how to deal with whatever that thing the guy was bringing at them. Nowadays, people are familiar with all the techniques, so you can't get that kind of surprise match anymore.
I mean, it's part of it, but at least the UFC is still, super entertaining.
Right, yeah. I'm just saying that's like different. That's what the difference between the early UFC and the modern UFC is kind of like the difference between the early strongman and the modern now.
I don't know. Possibly.
Yeah, well. Let's see. What else do I got, sir? Let me look. Let me bring up the old phone notes. How about the fact that the governor almost made me think I was going to die about an hour ago?
The governor?
I was sitting here, the governor of the fine state of Michigan, where I live. I was sitting here minding my own business about an hour ago, and all of a sudden the alert system on my phone went off. I looked down, and the very first thing it said was extreme alert. I'm like, that's not good. Normally extreme alert means something like there's a tornado or fucking a firestorm or like or flesh-eating locusts or some shit like that. So I was concerned, to say the very least. So I read further, and apparently there was an extreme alert and let you know that the governor had passed an ordinance that masks are now required inside of all public buildings and outside when you're in crowded public spaces, and that businesses are required to enforce this, which is an entire topic all by itself. But motherfucker, don't send that along the emergency alert system. I seriously thought something was fucking up for a half a second.
Well, I mean, how else are they going to get that message to everyone?
I don't know. Maybe.
Like that's exactly what that system is for.
Don't call it extreme alert then, call it something different, like, hey, something you should know alert.
Along that line, though, California pretty much just went back under lockdown.
Oh yeah, I have not seen what the news on that was. What's
Yeah,
going on?
they're pretty much shutting down all like bars and dining at restaurants and gyms and shit like that again. There's a few school districts that are already now going full online for the fall. Yeah, so California, after seeing a pretty big spike, has done the opposite of Florida.
Oh yeah. Oh well, I actually decided to do something about it.
Exactly.
Well, that's probably for the best. I don't know if it's too little, too late, but obviously they need to put the effort in.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's probably the right thing to do. So there is that. But yeah, it's kind of concerning, right? Like, what happens if this shit keeps popping up? Like, are we going to see another like almost nationwide-ish shutdown?
God, I hope not. As I mentioned before, that's the last thing I want is more time off. I need to work. My business that I work at needs to stay open. Not just for me, for many, many, many people. It's just a big, complicated problem if that shit closes again. And yeah, just no. Please, people, wear masks, take precautions. Let's get through this. I mean, I didn't click on the article, but I saw someone from like the Center of Disease Control or the Surgeon General or somebody who's supposed to know what they're talking about saying we could get this through this basically in 2 or 3 weeks if everybody did the right shit.
Yeah, like that is the thing. Like there are several states now that are slowly opening up and doing well. And then there's just the dumb states that are absolutely ruining it for everyone. So I hope it doesn't turn into like the almost kind of like Me Too of state closings where you're going to have these states that it really is a problem. They probably should shut down somewhat again. And other states just start doing it to be safe.
Yeah. And we've talked about this before. I'm just glad that I'm not in charge of this sort of thing because it's a big, complicated problem. It's hard to balance the economic needs of the country with the medical needs of the country.
Well, and speaking of the economic needs, so they did come out and they're starting to project now that basically almost all of the eviction moratoriums and everything are coming up, and the expanded unemployment is going away. So they are predicting anywhere between 19 and 23 million families are going to be evicted from their homes.
Oh, Jesus. Do you think they're going to try to extend that, or is this going to be it, really?
I think it's going to depend. So there were things that supposedly the Senate was working on, but they went on fucking vacation for 2 weeks. So I don't even...
doesn't seem like a good idea.
This is our government. Like, they're not there to work for us. They take these, like, week-long, 2-week-long, month-long fucking breaks in the middle of, like, times that people need them to be doing things and not give a damn about it. But yeah, so they're on break, I think, until next week. But yeah, it's all a big question. Like, whether or not, like, at least the eviction moratoriums, like that, things were generally kind of driven by state. So, like, states could still, you know, swoop in and do things about that. But as far as, like, the expanded unemployment or any sort of stimulus or anything else, like, there's a lot of people out there that are still just kind of at the mercy of the government, as a lot of these jobs haven't come back yet.
Yeah, and speaking on the entire mask thing that we were, no, I haven't had this confirmed yet because my wife literally told this to me 2 minutes before I started the show. When she said, "Hey, did you see that our local police, which I won't name specifically, have said that they're not going to enforce the new mask rule that they say the governor can't create laws." I have no way to confirm this yet, but if true, that's pretty fucked up, isn't it?
Yeah, like people are going to like applaud that, but like on something like this, it really is like, it is an issue. You should be wearing a mask. Stop being a fucking idiot about it. Like, no, I don't necessarily think it's a good use of police resources to having to go around and fucking fine people for not wearing a mask. But as long as we have idiots out there that refuse to wear a mask and do stupid shit like, you know, the lady that spit on a fucking cancer patient, or the people freaking out and shooting people, or just raising a fucking commotion in a Trader Joe's or whatever else, like, we need to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because just remember, just because someone looks like they're okay, that doesn't necessarily mean they are. When we all talk about all these COVID deaths and people getting fucked up from it, being that not because they're like, oh, that doesn't happen to normal healthy people. I'm like, well, yeah, it's people with underlying health issues that they may or may not be aware of. But just because someone looks like they're okay, that doesn't mean they have some issue that you might pass the COVID along to them and kill them with it. That's the entire point. That's why we're trying to prevent people from getting it, because there's lots of cases where people don't even know that they should be taking precautions. Like, for instance, just today, I found out that in certain cases, COVID can cause kidney damage, which would be a fucking bummer for me since I only got the one. And I have no clue how often that happens or anything like that. So, like, maybe one in 10,000 COVID patients get it, or whatever. But obviously, that's not something I want to fuck with.
Well, yeah, absolutely. That's definitely not something that you should be anywhere close. The other things, like, they're finding other things that COVID can cause. Like, they're seeing a bunch of like clotting issues beyond, the lung issues. There's people that, develop heart issues from it. There's people that, have had like stroke-like systems where their cognitive ability is retarded. And I mean retarded, and not they are retarded. But
yeah, my wife, when we were talking about that one, I was like, really? She goes, yeah. I'm like, are you sure? Has that been confirmed? I go, oh, that sounds fucked up. But apparently, if you're talking about it too, it must be true.
Yeah, it's one of those crazy things. And did you see where they came out today that it seems like if you have had COVID, your immunity is not like a lifetime thing. They're saying it has about a 6-month window.
That would be fucking suck to get the COVID every 6 months, huh?
Yeah, so it seems like either, well, and this is the thing, we don't know enough about this yet. Like, we understand the flu because it's been around for decades and decades and decades and decades. So, like, we understand that it morphs and there are different strains per season. It almost seems like that's probably going to be what this COVID thing is. So when we're working for a vaccine, it's going to probably be kind of like the flu vaccine. It's where they're, taking the educated guess for the year.
Well, that's lovely. So basically, at some point, we're going to have to learn to live with the COVID.
Yeah.
And all these precautions that we're taking, basically, when it comes right down to it, are just putting off the inevitable.
Well, I mean, there's certain things that we should be doing as a society, right? Like, if you're in an area that's like a hot zone for it, like, it should probably be part of our lives that, hey, if you're feeling sick, or if you're in an area where there's, like a bad flu outbreak or anything else, like, you should probably start wearing a mask. Like, that's one of the reasons Japan did so well with this entire thing. They had COVID. They directed everyone to wear masks and obviously try to, social distance or whatever where they could. But they pretty much snuffed that thing out pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear they're super duper fucking mad? Because apparently there's a major
the fucking Marines?
Yeah. 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 Oh, shit. Well, I can't say I'm surprised at that unless the military's changed, and obviously Marines are different than me being in basic training, so my experience is super duper limited. But at least when I was in basic training, they wouldn't be able to take half the precautions that they're supposed to for fucking safety from the COVID. I mean, because that's just not how the military is set up. I wonder how they're actually doing that, because they routinely shove you large amounts of people into small spaces, for one thing.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, I would think it would always be kind of a hotbed. Like, if somebody ends up sick in the military, like, their entire platoon's probably fucked. When you start talking about the bases, like over in Japan and elsewhere, like, you get a few people that are spreading that shit, it's gonna make its rounds.
Yeah. And Japan, they're very politely angry. I love Japanese people. I'd love to live there. It just seems like such an awesome society in general. they're all almost to a fault, super polite, and respectful of each other, which is really what I want out of society.
Well, I mean, you say that you would like to live there until you actually go visit sometime and you find out that everything is built for someone that's about 5'6".
Yeah, I suppose the novelty of that would wear off really quick. For a day or two, it'd be cool to be a fucking giant man. But after a couple days, it'd be like, oh man, I want to go back to where fucking I can sit down or lay in a bed or sit on a toilet. I mean, obviously, I'm not Andre the Giant size, but I heard horror stories about what he had to do when he went to Japan to wrestle.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was terrible. Like someone my size, like I was too big. And part of it is like especially bad for someone like that who's not only tall but they're large.
Yeah.
Like just a thicker or like wider person. Anybody with even like relatively like broad shoulders, like you're not meant to be in Japan. So when I went to Japan and I went to the fights there, like yeah, everything was just built for someone that was like, I would say like 2/3 of me. If you cut off like one of my arms and part of my torso, like that was about the right width. And if you took, about 5-6 inches off me, that would have been the right height. It was just, it's just a different place.
Oh yeah, people ask me all the time how I fit into small cars because I have a history of buying small cars. I like them. They handle better. They're more fun to drive. And I explained to him I buy American small cars. It makes a big difference. The only time I didn't buy an American small car, I bought an Italian small car, which was the most cramped car I've ever had, but I still pulled it off. I can't fuck with Japanese small cars, like their small sports cars and things like that. I don't fit into a Miata at fucking all. But like I fit into a Ford Fiesta ST because it's still an American-made car. So I'm a little big for it, but it's nothing unreasonable.
Yeah, I think it would be funny to watch you, buy a Miata and try to function with that.
No, I physically can't sit into it. I can't get my legs like the steering wheel's in the way. Yeah, the seat doesn't go back far enough. I can't wedge my legs up underneath the steering wheel. I've sat in one before. So it sucks. I like Miatas. They're cool little cars.
Yeah, a guy that works for me has a Miata, so I'm questionable about his character as a man.
You might not be able to fit into a Miata either. Not because of the height thing, but because of, like you said, the shoulder thing. Because I don't think their seats are that big in that direction either.
Well, that, and I would just never get in a Miata regardless. Because, that's a no-go.
Ah, shit. There's all kinds of fun small cars.
I've never been a big small car. Like, even some of, like, the sports cars, like, some of the Porsches are even, like, too small. Like, it's just, yeah, it's odd. Like, if I went, like, luxury car, I'd have to find the right one, because some of those, yeah, they're just not, they're built for smaller people.
Right. You'd need something like a convertible Bentley 2-door version. One of their speed models. Those are fucking badass. There's a few of those at the club. And that's what you're talking about when you want fast luxury. Obviously, they're overpriced because I think it's like $250,000-$300,000 car, but they're nice.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're wonderful as long as as long as they're built for someone someone like you.
Right. Right. Well, like I said, they're big cars as far as that goes, so I'm sure you'd have plenty of room, shoulder room, as opposed to some of the other like Ferraris and Porsches and other cars.
But yeah, I mean, with that anyway, like I have no desire to buy a car like that, so we'll see. I think if anything, like if anything, my next purchase for a vehicle, and it'll depend on how like the whole launch of this goes and how they really are like in production, would be the Tesla truck.
Oh yeah, it looks like shit, but it has really good stats, so to speak.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't even care if it looks trolly, but like if it actually comes out in production the way that they build it, like that thing would be a goddamn tank. And Teslas are freaking nice anyway, so like that might be a purchase.
I did think it was pretty funny, the entire demonstration to show the shatter-proof glass that shattered twice.
I know, right?
Yeah, although I think technically he's right because he wanted to they're shatterproof. I'm not sure if that's what they were actually intended to be. I think they're just supposed to be shatter resistant, so that when you throw like a brick through it, the brick wouldn't go through. But that's not much different than a real fucking windshield.
Right. Yeah. Well, again, it'll be interesting once they actually productionalize it and see if they try to improve that or what they try to do with the whole thing. But I mean, regardless,
right.
It's just it looks interesting.
Not a real truck, Team Evil bad guys. Not a real truck, Mark. That for those that are listening at home that aren't from the OG, there's a gentleman on the OG that made a thread years ago that said Tesla wasn't a real car company and predicted their downfall and demise over and over and over again for like the last 3 or 4 fucking 5 years or however long it's been now. And he's been hilariously wrong every single time he predicted something.
Yeah, that was kind of an epic backfire. And he keeps on with it. Like he's down for the cause.
Yeah, he keeps on
like
saying that
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I said, he keeps on swearing that Tesla's going to do the opposite of turning it around anytime soon.
I know, right? It's almost as good of a backfire as Camicom's thread talking about how, COVID had 0 deaths and flu had already killed 10,000 people.
Yeah. That didn't age well either in retrospect. Well, although that one's less funny since it involves people dying.
True, but that's still another one of those just gigantic, epic backfires.
Yeah, but oh shit, there's been quite a few of those in the OG though. Fuck. Let's see, what else do I got, dude? We're cruising right along. I've got tons of other topics, or possibly like 2 or 3. Let me see what else I have right here. Oh, did you see that story that New York customers have been having problems recently with the restaurants? They opened up outdoor dining recently. Still, there's no indoor dining, but there's outdoor dining. So the problem they're having is that rats are fucking like crawling over their legs and trying to crawl up their legs to get on the tables and fucking eat the food because they're starving and it's driving them fucking nutty.
I mean, that's not necessarily super surprising.
Yeah, apparently because of all the restaurants closing, the 3 million rats in New York have nothing to eat because obviously they live off of dumpsters of filled with discarded food from all these restaurants. Now that there's no discarded food, they got nothing to eat. So when the restaurants opened outdoor dining, and now there's all this food straight out in the fucking open, all these starving rats are fucking running for it to try to get it. So have fun eating outside in New York in the next fucking month or 2.
Yeah, I try to avoid New York City as much as possible. So yeah, I'll pass.
Yeah, I don't. I've never been there before. I mean, it seems like it'd be a cool spot to go. But on the other hand, it definitely fucking triggers my not wanting to be around people thing.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you can do the touristy thing and go walk around Times Square and do all that crap. But yeah, there's going to be a bunch of people.
All right, we have a caller. Let's give him a shot. Oh, I missed him. Sorry, Mick. Call back again.
But yeah, that is the thing.
Yeah, or maybe not.
Yeah, that is the thing with New York. You can do that. The traffic sucks, obviously. Team Evil just said that too. But yeah, the traffic's terrible. If you can navigate like the subway system, it's really not as bad as people say as far as like crazy people and that. But that also may be the fact that I'm not, out on the subway at 3 a.m. like an idiot.
Right. Right. Have you ever did like the entire go up into the top of the Empire State Building?
No,
thing?
Nah. Why? I think that's my thing. Like, why would I want to do that? Like, I've been to the Sears Tower in Chicago, so
something interesting. Okay. Yeah, I guess that'd be the same experience for the most part, huh?
Yeah, I think for the most part, once you encounter one tall building, you've encountered them all.
Well, I haven't yet, so that's still something I'd like to do. heights I'm not scared of heights, but I have a very, very healthy respect to heights. So that would be an interesting experience for me. I also would love to go to the Grand Canyon and do that entire skywalk thing where they have the plexiglass walkway that goes over to Grand Canyon.
Yeah, guess I just never saw the allure of the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, it's just to be something to see. I'd like to bucket list at least see most of the major things that you're supposed to see in the United States. The Empire State's Building, Statue of Liberty, Grand Canyon, Yellowstone Park, Golden Gate Bridge. Just all the things you're supposed to see because you live in America.
Yeah, I guess I never understood the whole Grand Canyon thing. I mean, really, in the grand scheme of things, it's just a really big ditch.
That's true, but it's a very, very big one. I mean, I know. I guess I try to appreciate natural beauty just because I haven't seen much of it. I imagine that'd be a cool place to see in that regard.
Yeah, I'm more of a I would rather go and experience mountains and stuff like that. The ditch just isn't necessarily a thing for me.
I don't know. Basically, it's a reverse mountain, dude. So, calling it a ditch is probably doing it a grave disservice, honestly.
Yeah, except that's really what it is. Just a ditch caused by, rivers over the years and all of that fun stuff. And yeah, it is what it is. I can understand why some people would, think, hey, this is pretty awesome. It's just not my thing.
That's fine. I can understand that. And I think we've had this conversation before, but I saw something in the news that made me want to ask you again. Are you an amusement park person?
Not anymore. Way back in the day, some of it was fun. I think we've talked about it before. If you did some ecstasy and went to an amusement park, it is pretty much the greatest thing in the world. But sober amusement parks just aren't that cool.
Well, I don't know. It depends on what was the amusement parks that you went to, because there are different grades of amusement park, obviously, all the way from parking lot carnival up to the major big ones.
Well, I've been to all the major big ones and things like that. Again, just it may be that I ruined it for myself by going not sober. So then all of a sudden, sober amusement parks were the most I don't know, they were kind of meh.
Well, challenge accepted. I already mentioned it. Cedar Point is the best one in the world. So, have you ever been to that one?
No, I haven't, but still, unless I was super on drugs, I probably wouldn't go.
Oh, no, I don't go anymore because I'm too large for a lot of the rides. There's a couple I can't ride. Most of them I can ride. It's just super uncomfortable. And when I was younger, I was willing to put up with that. But as you get older, not so much. But it's a fucking awesome place. It's an awesome place in so many different regards. It's the roller coaster capital of the world because it has almost every single roller coaster it has at one time was the world record holder for that type of roller coaster. The only reason most of them aren't is because other roller coaster amusement parks tend to build the same thing that they built a couple years later, a foot or two higher or a couple miles an hour faster. Especially in Japan, they've done that a few times. And they have more roller coasters. In addition to having the world record roller coasters, they have more roller coasters than any place else in the world, plus a whole bunch of other rides as well. It's just a fucking great place to go if you like that sort of thing. Even if you don't like roller coasters or water rides or whatever else they have there, the people watching is fucking amazing because there's a wide variety of people come from all over the world to experience the awesomeness that is Cedar Point.
Yeah, I will absolutely take your word for it. And if I was probably 20 years younger, it may be something that would be a fun little vacation.
Yeah. You're younger than me, but you're still old enough to be man, not anymore. And of course, I won't come fucking near any of those parking lot carnivals anymore. Although I might try their food. Well, no, not anymore. I can't. Not that now that I can't eat anymore. But
yeah, you can't even have awesome deep fried fair food anymore, can you?
No, I don't think so. I'd have to look stuff up, but the odds are probably no. I can't have anything that's deep fried. I can't have fried chicken or stuff like that. So, that's a bummer because that's fucking awesome. I used to well after I was willing to risk my life riding a parking lot carnival ride, I still love going there and just eating the different food and like once again, people watching and stuff like that. Because fucking, like their bratwurst, elephant ears, fucking, all the ridiculous stuff fried on a stick that they had. It was just good fun, good clean fun.
Yeah. Oh, like fairs and stuff. So that was one of the only things really happening in Iowa growing up was like the state fair there. And yeah, some of like the gigantic turkey legs and like the just terrible food. You go, you get hammered, then you end up eating like 14,000 calories, and then you pay for it the next day.
Oh yeah, yeah. The turkey leg thing reminded me of one of my favorite things to do back in the day, and I still wouldn't mind going if it wasn't so popular and crowded now. Was something called the Michigan Renaissance Festival, which I imagine would not be anything you'd be caught within like 10 miles of. But I always had a good time doing it. If you take out the medieval clothing and acting and things like that, which I'm sure you're probably not a big fan of, they had ridiculously good food, like with the turkey legs and just all kinds of just awesome food. You could get drunk on ale and mead and like all these fucking more primitive style beers, in addition to like wine or whatever else you want. And it was a good time. They had like jousting and like sword fights. There's always a whole bunch of different acts on different stages, for anything from comedy to magic acts to, it was, you could, and then you had all kinds of booths where you could do shit like axe throwing and for prizes. And then they had like vendors like artisan. I'm probably saying it wrong.
Artisan?
People that made, yeah, thank you. People that made shit. Anything from people that forged their own swords and knives and stuff that you could buy, which ranged from relatively simple ones to super duper expensive fancy pieces. Like I remember one year, some guy was selling a dagger for about $1,500. That was like all silver with gems in it, like a marble handle. It was just fucking awesome. And he had like a whole bunch of other different swords. People that sold different medieval clothing, and you could get custom boots made. It's just a good time if you're into any of that kind of sword and sorcery, medieval type of shit.
Yeah, not necessarily. So the comedy, did they do it period appropriate?
Yeah, for the most part.
Oh god, that had to be so cringeworthy.
Some of it was pretty good. There were people that did it for a living, and all they did was go from the different Renaissance fairs around the country, because most states have one of some sort or another. Ours was one of the bigger ones because the Michigan Renaissance Festival bought a shitload of land and put up permanent structures, or at least semi-permanent structures. Like most of them didn't have heat or anything like that, but they were a lot of them had like water and or at least, when I say semi-permanent, they range from anything from like actual buildings to just like open to the air, like with roof things of various natures, to make it look like a medieval village.
Still, thinking of the comedian thing, that must be to the comedian community what being a chiropractor is to doctors.
The best comedian that they had was the Dead Bob Show. He was a ventriloquist, and he had his ventriloquist dummy was Dead Bob, and he didn't like try to do much of an accent or anything like that. Basically, it was insult comedy. And that was pretty good, but a lot of the other ones were pretty cringeworthy, if I think about it.
So have you ever done the axe throwing? That's like a new thing. Like there's a place that opened up here. Like I took my team to do like a team building thing at it. And like part of it kind of was like, this can't be the safest thing in the world, because like the entire point is you bring a bunch of beer and then you throw fucking axes. Yeah, like I don't know. It was kind of fun, but it was like the entire idea of getting hammered and throwing axes, like that's just asking for trouble.
I did that way back in the day with the Renaissance Festival stuff, but they actually opened something like that around here as well. It's a place called the Hub, and it's a multi. They call it the Hub Stadium. It's not just axe throwing; it's like feather football, axe throwing lanes. Hold on a second. I'm going to look it up. It's got like 4 or 5 different things that it's in that you can do there, I think, or at least 2.
What the fuck is feather football?
I might have the wrong thing. Let me look this up. Reserve a lane. It's football. I'm sorry, football bowling. I was thinking of something different. Yeah, are you familiar with football bowling?
No,
It's exactly what it sounds like.
What the hell is football bowling?
Yeah, well, they have bowling lanes, but instead of you using bowling ball, you use a football.
So you're basically like throwing a pass trying to hit bowling pins?
That is 100% correct, sir.
How do they do like the ball return?
I don't know. I haven't ever went, so I'm looking at the site here, and it's got a couple pictures and stuff. But it seems like their main attraction was originally axe throwing. Okay. I see what it is. Basically, there's no lane. They just have the pins set up on one side, and and then you try to throw at them. I'm watching a video where like there's people standing around the pins. So I guess you probably just set them back up yourself, and then walk over and get your ball and walk back over to the throwing area. And then they have like all kinds of different beers and shit like that, and food, and so that looks like the two things are the axe throwing and football bowling. Meh. They have 10 axe stalls, 8 football lanes. They have Top Golf swing seats coming soon, and with 2 bars.
Well, that's the selling point, is the 2 bars, and then you just go do silly shit, because why not do silly shit while you're drinking?
Right, exactly. So I could see it being popular. It was at one point a big buck brewery and steakhouse. So that which didn't do well. It hung out for a while, but they were overpriced, and all it was just a gigantic steakhouse. So there was way too much room for it. So at least this uses the room of the building. So I don't know how popular it will be, but we'll see.
Yeah, like it's probably worth going to just once. Like I said, I went and did the axe throwing thing once, and it was something to do.
Yeah, I don't think I'd do it twice though. I could see doing it once just for shits and giggles. We sore the next day. It's not exactly a normal muscle move, throwing axes.
No, it's not like they're that heavy.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's still not a thing that you do every day.
I mean, are you sore when you go bowling, since you're in the bowling capital of the world?
Oh God, I don't go bowling. I haven't done that in fucking years. Decades, really. I wasn't very good at it. I just remember one time I played whirly ball, which you wouldn't think would be a big deal, but I noticed being sore in certain muscles the next day because the reaching down and scooping up the ball with the lacrosse thing is not really a normal movement while not while you're driving around a bumper car anyways.
Yeah, I think that might just be a you thing.
No? Okay. Well, whatever.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, little dog in my lap. Okay, let's see what else we got. Because I do actually still have more topics, at least one more.
Well, before you get to that, like, you're a Kroger guy, right?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Did you hear, and this might not be in your area, I think they're just starting it in some of their places, like maybe even down south. But did you hear that Kroger's going to stop giving change as coins? They will no longer do coin change?
Yep, they're doing that around here. It's a big deal on my local Facebook thing because everyone's like, and obviously it's because of the coin shortage, which is a weird thing because you wouldn't think we'd have a coin shortage. There seems to be a million, money all over the place normally. I don't know anybody who doesn't have like a fucking at least $5 or $10 worth stored in a jar someplace.
Yeah, they can say it's partly due to the coin shortage, but I wonder if this ends up being a long-term thing for a lot of people.
Do you mean like more of a shift in attitude as opposed to an actual supply and demand thing?
Right. Like I can't even think of the last time I bought anything with cash.
Yeah, I don't do that. Every once in a great while, I will pay for something in cash, but that's only if someone gave me money in cash. I don't have to take cash out anymore because even drugs you can put on credit cards now. So there's no reason for me to ever have cash on me. The only reason we ever have cash right now is to pay the guy cutting our lawn every 2 weeks.
Yeah, literally the only reason I ever have cash is when I'm on business travel, which obviously hasn't been a thing in months and won't be for many, many more months. But like that is only to tip like Uber drivers, since you're limited on how much you can tip on a corporate card. to, get past your auditing. And I always want to tip more than what they say. So I will grab cash for that. But yeah, other than that, I cannot think of the last time I've used cash for really anything.
Yeah, no. And we don't even go and get cash for that really, because my wife gets tips all the time. So she normally has enough cash on her to cover like the lawn mowing every 2 weeks. Other than that, cash does not enter our system. I pay credit card and everything, and I wouldn't really want change back. So if you read the Kroger article, you have two options. You can put the change on your loyalty card, which will go to your next purchase, or you can use like the Roundup for Charity thing, where they take whatever your change is and give it to a charity.
Right. Yep. I saw that. That's it's an interesting thing. I wonder if we get to the point where there's no longer the coin shortage, if Kroger just keeps it. Because it makes people's life easier. Like, it's just one of those things that I think eventually it really does kind of become a thing of the past.
Well, I don't know, because I assume for people that use credit cards, it's not a big deal. But for certain people, if you use cash all the time, well, that's gonna cost you a lot of money eventually. Let's say you buy something that costs $3.29 every day because you need it for something or another. Well, now it costs you $4 every day. Yeah, you can get the Kroger card back, but that's on a loyalty card, but that's kind of inconvenient to say the least. Because now you got to pay cash and then pull out your Kroger card to either get some change back or give them some change. One of the two.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just so used to not using cash that never seeing a penny again in my life would be just fine with me.
Yeah, for me too. Same thing. I don't really need to have cash or anything. I'm perfectly fine with the credit card thing. As I mentioned before, we have reward points, so there's no reason to not use it. I try to put all of my money on the card as I possibly can and just pay it off at the end of the month so that I do not have to pay interest. So it gets us, that's what we used to pay for our vacations and stuff. I certainly don't want to, use cash for something. I'm taking money away from myself at that point.
Right. Yeah, I do pretty much the same thing. Everything I can throw on a loyalty or on a points based or loyalty card, I will. And I just pay off everything at the end of the month, and hey, good to go.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do I got? You know what? I think that's about it. Did you have anything at all? I actually do have one other topic, but it's a silly one. So if you got anything to close out the show that isn't silly, we should probably go with that instead.
I mean, I always have things. You just never actually even asked. I just said, hey, I'm throwing the show on you. So there you go.
Well, turns out I can actually do it if I have to.
So it's actually kind of a follow-up to other things that we had talked about in the past, but the Washington Redskins are no more.
Yeah, I can't believe it actually fucking happened. That's pretty surprising.
Not necessarily super. I am not surprised. Like, in this climate, in this society, I'm not surprised. I am surprised being that I think it was 7 years ago when this first started to creep up, the owner said, absolutely never will change the name. And he even was snarky enough that he's like, and you can print that in all caps.
Yeah. I guess that's what I meant. They took such a strong stance on it. And not that many years ago, this would be kind of conceivable on so many things. And apparently it's going to happen with a lot of other teams too. If the Washington Redskins caved, everyone else is going to cave too. So prepare for a wave of team changes.
Well, it sounds like the Cleveland Indians are also going to be changing. They haven't come out and made it absolutely official, but it sounds like they had made, and I don't know exactly what the statement is, so I won't venture to say, what it said, but yeah, they pretty much came out and said they're, assessing different branding moving forward.
See, and that's a weird one, because that's not a derogatory term. Indian is descriptive. That's what they are, Indians, right? I mean, is it because they want to call themselves indigenous people now?
I have no clue, but Challenge Accepted, it kind of brought up the fact that, there was a couple years ago, they already changed their logo, and they had the Chief Wahoo mascot and things like that. So they've already started to kind of get away from those things. So I guess the Indians' name, I think they were kind of slowly making steps towards that anyway. So maybe they were already kind of planning towards it. I think the Redskins was more just like, we already freaked out on them once. This time there's even like more of a sentiment behind it. So I think they finally had to cave. And I wonder if it was more of the other NFL owners going, hey, we're coming back. We know that there's already going to be, some shit that people are going to be all pissed off about because we know we're going to have players kneeling and shit like that. Let's not give people another reason to complain about the NFL. So, Dan Snyder, you're going to have to cave and change that name, bud.
I mean, would it be bad if like there was the Detroit Italians? Because that's the same thing, isn't it?
I think it'd be more the Detroit Wops.
Well, but that's not, but we're not calling the Indians a derogatory name. It's like Indians, Italians, Irish people.
Right, yeah, for the Indians, not the Redskins. I was saying the Redskins would be more like the Italian Wops.
The Redskin one I could perfectly understand because that, like you said, that was a derogatory term. It's just the Cleveland Indian one that blows me away. The San Francisco Irishman. See, it wouldn't be a great name, but it's not like it's a derogatory one.
I think it should more be just the San Francisco gays.
That's descriptive. So yeah, I don't know, dude.
San Francisco. I mean, if you want to be a little bit more PC, maybe like the San Francisco Cornholers.
Yeah, because maybe they just really like that game, right?
Exactly. They like, stuffing something into a hole.
And that always seemed like a silly game to me. Have you ever played cornhole before?
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
Yeah, not my thing.
It's beanbag toss is all it is.
Yeah, and obviously it's nothing I would be good at anyway, so no depth perception. So I've never had any interest in that game at all.
And Sly just joined us. He wanted to know what he missed. Sly, you missed Passive J here talking about his favorite food from Burger King.
But we're not going to go over it again.
No, we can't give you any more Burger King porn. Like, you're going to get a little bit too excited.
Shit. Well, okay, we got a minute and a half. What else you got? What do you want to finish up with, sir?
The only other thing, and this is just another update. So remember we talked about those 4 LAPD officers that are facing all sorts of indictments for basically flagging people as gang members who 100% were not?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, there's another 16 that just got indicted for the same shit.
Oh my, yeah, that's a little more serious than just 4, isn't it?
Yeah, it's it seems like this was like, it seems like it's probably a common practice in some precinct in LA. It doesn't necessarily say where all of them are. And actually it looks like there's more. So I hate reading articles, but so this memo came out. Total number of officers under investigation at this point is now 24. There were 3. I guess there was only 3 charged last week. 16 more being charged, and then 5 others are suspected of violating department policies, but not necessarily breaking the law.
Jeez. So they're all fucked. Obviously, that entire department's pretty much corrupt at that point, I would assume.
Well, yeah, at that point, like, when do you come in and just fucking clean house? Because if you have that many people, like, it probably goes quite a ways up the chain, and you probably just need to, get everybody out and start anew.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I don't have much else to say about it. Well, look at that. We did a whole show. Amazing. I want to thank the OG Army for showing up. We do the show for you guys, so I always appreciate it when you're actually here to appreciate it. I want to thank my co-host, Big Dalton. I couldn't do the show without him. Shit, Dalton, what else you got?
As always, got 2 things. Make sure everybody tune in tomorrow. We will be making our fight picks for the fight night that I believe is on Wednesday. And then on Wednesday, we'll be making the picks for the fights that will be going on this weekend, for which there may or may not be a pseudo fight companion. So be sure to check that out. And other than that, I believe I only have one other thing left to say, and that is fuck all y'all.
Everybody have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 6. Bye-bye.
Screw you, hippie!